It is another stormy evening across much of central and eastern Kentucky. The very latest hour-by-hour forecast is just ahead.
Who will be Donald Trump's running mate? We have new details ahead of the Republican National Convention. I'm Weijia Zhang in Cleveland, Ohio, with the latest coming up.
Friends and family of a murdered Northern Kentucky family continue searching for their bodies today, getting some help from a canine search team at the last place the couple was seen alive.
WKYT News starts now with First Alert Weather.
Good afternoon. Strong to even severe storms continue to push their way across the state this afternoon.
Some of them could pack quite a punch. A viewer sent us this picture of a large tree down in Danville. We've declared a First Alert Severe Weather Day. We begin tonight with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Amber. Hi, Sam. Indeed, those thunderstorms out there packing a punch. Not a whole lot of true severe weather in terms of widespread, more localized action into parts of central and eastern Kentucky. Moorhead down into parts of Morgan County, some thunder and lightning. Storms, though, that are ramping up right now from Hyden into sections of Bell County. General run-of-the-mill heavy rain, Somerset, Monticello, back toward the Russell Springs area. Here's what's going on in Lexington, where we have some scattered stuff over the past little bit. Majority of the action, though, is back to our west. Thunderstorms beginning to ramp up now from Lawrenceburg and Frankfort into parts of the Shelbyville area, and those storms are rolling their way toward the east. So if you're watching us right now into Franklin County, extreme northern parts of Anderson County, hey, the action right on cue is beginning to rev up a little bit. Look at the storms to the southwest of Louisville. That's a severe thunderstorm that may take aim toward parts of the Louisville metro. And again, we'll keep an eye on that I-64 corridor from Lexington into southern parts of Indiana for some additional showers and thunderstorms to go up. All of that is right ahead of a cold front that is off to our west and northwest. And we will likely see at least scattered stuff continue through the better part of the evening. Guys, when I come back in a few minutes, yeah, we're going to track what's out there, but we're also going to focus on this cold front potentially stalling out and impacting your weekend.
Chris, thank you. Some people in Lexington had to clean up today after powerful storms blew through overnight. Several roads were closed this morning while crews worked to clear down trees. On Southport Drive, large tree branches fell onto a truck parked in the street. The storm also knocked out power to more than 800 homes and businesses. A man who woke up to find a tree on top of his SUV says he's just relieved it didn't crash into his house.
One of my sons sleeps right at that window, so yeah, it was definitely, you know, a relief that the tree is not as big as it, you know, some of these around here.
All of the roads closed by downed trees this morning have since reopened.
Politics now in the run for president. Donald Trump scheduled to reveal his pick for a vice presidential running mate tomorrow.
But word is leaking out that the decision has already been made. Weijia Zhang is in Cleveland at the site of next week's Republican National Convention. She has the latest on campaign 2016.
A GOP source confirms to CBS News that Indiana Governor Mike Pence will be Donald Trump's pick to be his vice presidential running mate. The decision comes just one day after Pence and Trump spent time together at his Indiana home.
I support Donald Trump. I think he's got the right vision for this country.
Pence is a virtual unknown to many voters. A CBS News New York Times poll shows 86% of those surveyed say they don't know enough about him to formulate an opinion. But Pence is seen as someone who can rally the conservative base.
It'll keep the delegates at the convention happy because he's a social conservative, you know, he's a family man, and he's an economic conservative.
Here in Cleveland, news of the Pence pick was met with enthusiasm among delegates already in town, working on rules for next week's Republican National Convention.
They definitely have different styles in public speaking, but I think that they'll complement each other incredibly well.
Hillary Clinton is also working to finalize who she will choose to be her vice presidential nominee. She's campaigning with Virginia Senator Tim Kaine, who is rumored to be among a short list of finalists for the job.
Weijia Zhang reporting there. Clinton also met behind closed doors with Democratic senators on Capitol Hill Wednesday. Several of them are also on her list of VP candidates, including Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts and Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown.
It's been nearly 2 weeks, and the remains of a missing northern Kentucky couple who police say were murdered have still not been found. Robert Jones and Crystal Warner were last seen at their rental property in Washington County 11 days ago. Greg Pennington is charged in their deaths. WKYT's Hillary Thornton has the latest on the search efforts.
The canine search team says when the family of the victims contacted them, they knew right away they wanted to help in any way possible. Today, spending time working the property where the couple was last seen alive. Robert Jones, known as Bobby, and his girlfriend Crystal Warner were last heard from on July 3rd. Family members say they were checking on the rental property Jones owned where he was having some issues with the tenant. 5 days later, police arresting the tenant of that Texas Road cabin, Craig Pennington, charging him with 2 counts of murder. The couple's vehicle was found abandoned in Georgetown. However, their bodies have not yet been found. Meanwhile, friends and family have not stopped searching. Today, thankful for the help of the nonprofit group WKYT, searching the place a witness saw Pennington shoot and kill their loved ones.
The family would like to feel confident that to clear the area where the murder occurred. So we've come with our search dogs. They're human remains detection dogs. This one is Scout, and we're checking the property. The sheriff and the state police know that we're, doing this, and the family really wanted this to be done. So we thought this would be a good thing to get accomplished.
We are told there is already another search planned for outside of Washington County on Saturday. In Washington County, Hillary Thornton, WKYT.
Kentucky K-9 also had their drone pilot on hand to assist with today's search.
An elected law enforcement officer out of Clark County is accused of breaking the law. Constable Glenn Witt is charged with drug trafficking. His arrest citation says he was recorded making a drug deal. WKYT's Victor Puente has more on his arrest.
The Clark County Sheriff says they received a tip a few months ago that Glenn Witt was selling drugs. That started the investigation that led to yesterday's arrest. Sheriff Burl Perdue tells me the investigation started when his office received a tip that 52-year-old Glenn Witt was selling drugs.
We had gotten more information, more complaints here recently in the last few months. A few weeks, actually.
According to his arrest citation, Witt was arrested yesterday after he sold 7 pills to an undercover informant. That citation also says that when he was arrested, he had a handgun and his constable's badge on him.
The office under their own, they're not affiliated with the sheriff's office, police department, or anyone else.
The sheriff's office and state police were working together as part of a drug task force. They say that buy was recorded with audio and video. The sheriff says Witt has been a constable for years, and everyone in his department knows him.
We've taken an oath and to protect, serve, and to be at a higher level. And we're held to a higher standard, and we should be.
Sheriff Perdue said they anticipate additional charges against Witt. He also said this investigation is continuing and that there could be other people who are charged. In Clark County, Victor Puente, WKYT.
The Clark County Judge Executive told us because a constable is an elected official, local authorities do not have any say on whether Witt will keep his position. He said that will take place on the state level.
Firefighters are still trying to figure out what caused a fire that destroyed a mobile home this afternoon. Our county-by-county coverage begins in Powell County. The homeowner says he was working behind his home on Wells Lane when the fire started. He says by the time he ran inside, there were already flames coming from the bedroom. Firefighters say half of the mobile home was already gone when they arrived to the scene. The cause of that fire remains under investigation. In Letcher County, police are looking for a man accused of a violent assault on a woman. Earlier this month, police say 52-year-old Albert Ray Wilder broke out a car window and attempted to pull a woman through it. He then assaulted her with a rock and tried to shoot her. The woman was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. Police say Wilder has an extensive criminal history. Wilder is facing charges of unlawful imprisonment, possession of a handgun, and domestic violence. In Taylor County, a death investigation is underway after a body was found in a creek. Campbellsville police were called to the corner of South Columbia Avenue and Oak Street for a report of an older man unresponsive in the waterway. 88-year-old Walter Herman Tutt was pronounced dead at the scene. The death remains under investigation, but no foul play is suspected.
Last night we told you about a banner that went up at Bryan Station High School. Today we talked to the school superintendent about that sign. What he had to say coming up in about 10 minutes.
Thunderstorms again on the move. We're tracking the potential for some local severe weather right after the break. Stay here. It is a WKYT First Alert Severe Weather Day. Thunderstorms scattered, smothered, covered across the entire area. And we are looking at that eastern skyline right now with our WKYT Live Skycam for some departing thunderstorms. Next half hour, we're going to swing this around to the west and show you some additional thunderstorms trying to take aim at the region. Raining out at the airport now, 79 degrees. Humidity, though, 72%. So even when it is raining and it's only 79 degrees, it still feels hotter than it actually is. Winds coming at us from the south and the southwest, gusting up to 20 miles an hour. Thunderstorms across the entire area. What an afternoon again in Kentucky. From Moorhead down 519 toward sections of West Liberty along Highway Route 7 here. Getting in on some thunder and lightning, Morgan County. Additional strong storms moving into Perry County. Hazard down through Hyden. Hello, Leslie County. Northern parts of Harlan County. It's booming out there. General rain with some low rolling thunder coming from the skies from Somerset to Whitley City and points to the west. Lexington, nothing out there now. A little shower into parts of Paris. So look what's gearing up to our west and northwest. We focused on this area a half hour ago and told you to watch for some strong storms to develop. And here they are into Franklin and Shelby counties working toward the east. So folks around Stamping Ground, Peaks Mill, thunder and lightning picking up right now coverage-wise and intensity-wise, and the heavy rains rolling on through as well. And that's trying to meet up with some thunderstorms rolling eastbound out of southern Indiana toward the Louisville Metro and eventually perhaps into parts of central Kentucky as well. Did I mention it's active out there? Future radar trying to pick up on all of these small-scale thunderstorm complexes that are out there. And computer models and thunderstorms, you hear me talk about this all the time. They don't go hand in hand very often, but just know it is still trying to keep some of those scattered storms around for the evening. Here's a little better computer model for the next few days. We go through later this evening. It is still trying to spit out a shower or thunderstorm. Tropical tomorrow morning, tropical into the afternoon when some scattered storms will go up. I think that I said this yesterday about the same model. It was likely deficient with the storms of today. It's likely deficient with the storms of tomorrow. Cold front checks up across the region as we go into the day on Saturday. That may mean the southern half of the area has a much greater risk for rain than the northern parts of the area on Saturday. Heading out and about Saturday evening, skies may, fingers crossed, begin to clear up a little bit. And that clearing trend should carry us into Sunday. So if I'm making outdoor plans right now, I'm going to try to do that on Sunday. Sunday has a much better chance for the entire area to stay rain-free as what we're seeing out there for the day on Saturday. 7-day forecast. We'll push 90 on Monday before, stop me if you have heard this one before, guys. Please stop me. I'm tired of saying it. Thunderstorms are going to come in here again Monday night, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Just part of summer, right? Just part of where we are.
It is, but you know, this is even crazy for us around here. Fourth straight summer where we've had almost non-stop thunderstorms out there. And Sam just has to keep on mowing.
And I don't.
That's because you've got a nice husband.
Yes, I do.
There you go.
Thanks, Chris.
Working several collisions right now, including one in Alumni University and Elizabeth and Waller's, another accident location, and police are on the scene. We've cleared the one at Hume Road and Winchester Road, which means Hume Road is now back open, so that is helping things a lot through that intersection. Outbound to Clark County, Winchester Road looks good. Drive times to Nicholasville still 12 to 15 minutes. Now back to you in the studio.
Memorials continue today for the 5 police officers who were shot and killed during the ambush in downtown Dallas last week. We'll take you to their memorials coming up.
Coming up on WKYT News at 5:30, the latest from Garrett County, where a Lexington man drowned in the Kentucky River late last night.
Keep up with the latest news on WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
Fayette County School Superintendent Manny Kalk reiterated today his support for the Black Lives Matter Club at Bryan Station High School.
A picture of the club's banner was shared on social media yesterday and since has received a lot of backlash from people in the community. The district says the club was started by students of different races last fall to foster racial harmony at Bryan Station High. WKYT's Sabira Rafer talked to the school superintendent about the club.
One of the founders of the Black Lives Matter Club at Bryan Station High School says the group has been around 6 months. She says creating the group was not about exclusion. Nadria Lavizio tells us the Black Lives Matter group was founded by 4 different people from 3 different cultures. She says the group welcomes diversity. Lavizio says when she found out that someone had taken a picture of their banner in protest, she was upset because she wanted people to understand the group's message. School leaders say the club has sponsored many different events to promote expression and diversity at Bryan Station. At a news conference today, Superintendent Manny Kalk said this is a time to promote constructive conversations about race.
But my thoughts is that, I commend and salute our students. The makeup and the founders of that group was very diverse, both racially, ethnically, and culturally. They came to the school administration and said, hey, we recognize that there are some disparities and there's patterns of that disparity.
A news release from the school mentioned that the principal here was initially hesitant about the group's name, but after working with the founders and learning more about the group, he decided to approve it. In Lexington, Sabira Rayford, WKYT.
The group also held a panel discussion with the Lexington Police Department.
Memorials continue today for the 5 police officers who were shot and killed during the ambush in downtown Dallas last week. Today, the public was invited to attend the funeral for Dallas Police Sergeant Michael Smith. The service was held at Watermark Church in Dallas, where Smith worked part-time as a security officer. Smith was an Army veteran who had been on the Dallas police force 28 years.
As people of faith, we struggle during tragedy to hang on to our faith. And yet we sacrifice. And yet we sacrifice. And this was the ultimate sacrifice. I've seen a lot of tragedy.
The funeral for Officer Michael Kroll will be Friday morning, and the funeral for another officer will be Saturday.
Delta Airlines says it plans to cut flights between the United States and the United Kingdom this winter due to Brexit. The recent 12% plunge in the value of the pound has led to the cheapest flights on those routes in years, but that's cutting into the U.S. airlines' revenues. Delta announced today it would reduce the number of seats available to the UK by 6% this winter. The airline made a similar move last year when it cut flights to Russia and Brazil, and that was also due to currency declines in those countries. Coming up on WKYT News at 5:30, we have a sneak peek at some of the renovations you'll see this fall inside Rupp Arena.
A new study suggests where you work can have an impact on your overall health, and it's not always in a good way. And multitasking is part of our daily lives, but can juggling so many things at once be bad for your health? We'll have the details coming up in Better Living. It is time now for Better Living, health, education, and consumer news that impacts your life. Texting while walking, sending emails while talking to a coworker, multitasking is part of our daily lives. But as Mary Maloney explains, juggling so many things at once can do more harm than good.
Contrary to popular belief, multitasking doesn't always save time. In most cases, it will probably take you longer to finish 2 or more projects than it would to finish each one separately. Experts say that when switching between tasks, you're more likely to make mistakes, especially if what you're working on involves a lot of critical thinking. Researchers from the University of California say it's not only the physical act of multitasking that can stress you out, but also the consequences. Bombing an exam or failing to perform at work can lead to self-esteem issues or even depression. Multitasking can even affect how much you eat. Eating while distracted means you may eat too much too quickly, or that you won't fully remember the feeling of eating and being full. Because of that, you might be picking up the fork again too soon. Experts say each task requires a specific mindset, and once you get started, you should commit to the end. For today's Health Minute, I'm Mary Maloney.
Many Americans believe their job takes a toll on their health. In a recent poll, nearly half said their job affects their overall health, and only 1/4 of those believe it has a positive influence. Most say their jobs have a major impact on their stress levels and their eating and their sleeping habits. Additionally, the poll reports most workers show up for work even when they're sick, including over half of those who have medical jobs or work in the food industry. It might not be long before you can see exactly how many calories you're drinking when you have your favorite brew. Major brewers in the U.S., including Heineken and Corona, are planning to add nutrition labels to their products. The labels will have the amount of calories, carbohydrates, and alcohol content in each brew. Some companies like Anheuser-Busch and Miller Coors say they would also provide the information online and on cardboard packaging for customers. Another fast food giant hopping into the battle of the breakfast. Denny's says their new pancake recipe replaces the just add water powdered mix routine with fresh buttermilk and eggs. The company says their flapjacks will be 50% more fluffy, and they hope the new recipe will help give them an edge against their breakfast rivals. Denny's operates more than 1,700 franchises and company-owned restaurants. Now, here's what's coming up for you at 5:30.